Story 1. The wind howled through the gnarled trees that surrounded Blackwood Manor, an imposing and long-abandoned mansion that stood at the edge of the town. For years, the townsfolk had whispered tales of malevolent spirits and dark curses that plagued the old estate. Most had never ventured near it, for fear of the ominous aura that seemed to emanate from its decaying walls. On a chilly October evening, a group of curious thrill-seekers decided to challenge the legends and explore Blackwood Manor. Among them were Sarah, a fearless photographer always seeking the perfect shot; Mark, a self-proclaimed skeptic determined to debunk the supernatural stories; Lisa, a historian fascinated by the mansion's dark history; and Alex, the thrill-seekers' leader who believed in the paranormal but was eager to confront his fears. As they approached the manor, the full moon cast eerie shadows upon the overgrown garden. The rusty gate creaked open, welcoming them to their night of terror. Sarah snapped photos with her camera, capturing the eerie atmosphere. The mansion's facade was adorned with ivy and shattered windows, and the crumbling steps led to a grand entrance. As they entered, the air grew heavy with the scent of decay. The group ventured through the dimly lit halls, their footsteps echoing ominously. Lisa recounted the tragic history of the Blackwood family, who had fallen victim to a series of gruesome deaths and mysterious disappearances over the centuries. According to local legends, the spirits of the Blackwoods still haunted the mansion, seeking revenge for the horrors that had befallen them. Mark scoffed at the tales, dismissing them as mere superstitions. However, his skepticism began to waver when he heard faint whispers echoing through the corridor. The group turned their flashlights toward the source of the sound but found nothing. Sarah's camera captured only darkness and eerie blurs. As they explored deeper into the mansion, they entered a room filled with portraits of long-dead Blackwood ancestors. Their eyes seemed to follow the intruders, and the room grew icy cold. Lisa read aloud from a dusty journal she had found on an ornate table, describing rituals and sacrifices conducted by the Blackwoods in their quest for power and immortality. Suddenly, the group felt an otherworldly presence in the room. The candles flickered and extinguished themselves. A chilling gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing their flashlights. Panicked, they fumbled for their phones, turning on their screens to illuminate the darkness. In the pale glow of their screens, they saw a ghostly figure standing in the corner of the room, draped in tattered black robes. It was the ghost of Lady Isabella Blackwood, a former matriarch of the family, her eyes hollow and filled with torment. She whispered in a mournful voice, "You should not have come here. Leave now while you still can." The group scrambled to their feet and fled the room, but the mansion seemed to shift and change around them. Hallways twisted, rooms vanished, and the group became disoriented. They realized they were trapped within the malevolent labyrinth of Blackwood Manor. Hours turned into an eternity as they wandered through the ever-changing mansion, pursued by the vengeful spirits of the Blackwood family. Shadows danced on the walls, and blood-curdling screams echoed in the distance. Mark's skepticism had turned to sheer terror, and Sarah's camera captured disturbing images of apparitions that appeared and disappeared at will. As dawn broke, the group found themselves back in the grand entrance hall, exhausted and terrified. They had come full circle, and the mansion seemed to mock their attempts to escape. Desperation set in, and they clung to each other, hoping for a way out. Suddenly, the voice of Lady Isabella Blackwood echoed through the hall, her words laced with sorrow and regret. She revealed that the curse that bound her family to the mansion could only be broken by an act of selflessness and redemption. The Blackwoods had longed for the release of their tortured souls, and their only hope lay in the compassion of the living. With newfound determination, the group searched for clues about the past misdeeds of the Blackwood family. They discovered a hidden chamber filled with journals, letters, and artifacts that revealed the family's dark secrets. They realized that the key to breaking the curse was to uncover the truth and expose it to the world. As they pieced together the family's tragic history, they felt the presence of the spirits grow stronger, but this time it was not menacing. It was as if the ghosts were watching, waiting for redemption. The group swore to reveal the truth to the town and make amends for the Blackwood family's sins. With their newfound purpose, the group finally managed to escape Blackwood Manor. They returned to town, sharing their harrowing experience and the secrets they had uncovered. The town was shocked by the revelations, and the curse that had plagued Blackwood Manor began to wane. Over time, the mansion's malevolence faded, and it became a symbol of the town's dark past. The spirits of the Blackwood family found peace. Their torment finally laid to rest. Blackwood Manor remained abandoned, a silent witness to the horrors of its past, and a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying hauntings are not the ones that lurk in the shadows, but the ones that dwell within the human soul. Story 2. In the heart of a dense, foreboding forest lay a small, secluded cabin known to the locals as the Witch's Hut. It was said that a powerful sorceress had once lived there, practicing dark magic and summoning malevolent forces from the depths of the unknown. Generations passed, and the memory of the witch faded into legend, but the cabin and the surrounding woods remained a place of dread and superstition. One autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a group of friends gathered around a campfire on the outskirts of the Whispering Woods. They had heard the eerie stories and dared each other to spend the night in the cursed cabin. Among them were Sarah, a skeptical writer, Mark, an adventurous daredevil, Lisa, a historian intrigued by the legends, and Alex, the group's leader, who had always been drawn to the supernatural. The forest seemed alive with whispers as the group approached the cabin. The trees stretched their gnarled limbs toward the sky, casting ominous shadows. Sarah, who had come armed with her notebook and a voice recorder, began documenting their adventure, dismissing the tales as mere superstitions. As they entered the cabin, they were greeted by the musty smell of old books and decaying wood. Cobwebs clung to the corners, and dusty, forgotten relics lined the shelves. Mark, trying to break the tension, laughed and declared that the witch's hut was nothing more than an abandoned shack. But then they heard it, a faint, ghostly whisper that seemed to come from the very walls of the cabin. Lisa's eyes widened as she recognized the archaic words of an incantation. The air grew colder, and the fire outside crackled ominously. As night fell, the group huddled together in the cabin, their flashlights piercing the darkness. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, and her voice recorder captured mysterious whispers that sent shivers down their spines. Mark, trying to mask his unease, joked about being the ghostly radio station. Suddenly, a bookshelf began to shake violently, books tumbling to the floor. They watched in horror as an unseen force flipped open an ancient tome, its pages filled with arcane symbols and drawings of grotesque creatures. The room seemed to pulse with energy, and a chilling voice emanated from nowhere and everywhere, reciting the words of a dark spell. Panicking, the group rushed outside, gasping for breath. The forest itself seemed to have come alive, the trees swaying menacingly. They realized they were trapped, the path back to civilization vanishing into an impenetrable wall of trees. As they explored further, they stumbled upon a clearing with an eerie moonlit pool at its center. The water rippled without a breeze, and its surface reflected the night sky in a disorienting, almost otherworldly manner. The group felt drawn to the pool, as if it held the key to their escape. Lisa, driven by a historian's curiosity, approached the pool and touched its surface. The water reacted violently, forming a grotesque, watery hand that reached up, grasping her wrist with a bone-chilling grip. The others struggled to pull her free, and when they finally succeeded, Lisa's wrist was marked with a sinister, swirling tattoo. With trembling hands, Sarah examined her notebook, which now contained pages of indecipherable ancient script. It was as if the very essence of the cabin had infected their belongings. Desperation grew as the group realized that they were trapped in a nightmare. The forest itself seemed to shift and change, leading them in circles. They encountered eerie apparitions that beckoned them deeper into the woods, their faces twisted in agony. As days turned into a never-ending night, the group's fear grew. They were tormented by the relentless whispers that seemed to come from every direction. The air grew colder with each passing hour, and their supplies dwindled. One evening they stumbled upon an overgrown cemetery deep within the woods. The tombstones bore the names of those who had dared to enter the witch's hut before them, each marked with a date of death that corresponded to their visit. The group's hope was fading, but Alex refused to give in to despair. He believed that they could break the curse and escape the forest. With Lisa's historian knowledge and Sarah's haunted notebook, they pieced together the history of the witch who had once inhabited the cabin. They learned that the sorceress had sought immortality through dark rituals, but her ambitions had led to her own demise. The curse that now bound the forest was the result of her malevolent magic, and the only way to break it was to confront the witch's spirit and offer her forgiveness. With determination, they returned to the cabin, which now felt like a prison. Sarah, using her recorder, called out to the spirit of the witch, urging her to confront the pain and regret that had bound her for centuries. The air grew heavy, and the room seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy. In the flickering candlelight, the ghostly figure of the witch appeared, her face etched with sorrow and torment. She confessed to the darkness of her past deeds and the pain she had caused. As the group listened, their fear gave way to compassion, and they forgave the witch for her sins. With a sigh of relief, the witch's spirit dissipated into the air, and the cabin began to crumble around them. The curse that had bound the Whispering Woods was broken, and the forest returned to its natural state. Exhausted but triumphant, the group emerged from the woods, their ordeal finally over. The Whispering Woods had claimed many victims over the years. But these friends had not only survived, but had also brought peace to a tormented spirit. As they walked away from the forest, they couldn't help but glance back at the dark trees one last time, knowing that the tales of the witch's hut would live on as a cautionary tale of the horrors that lurked in the heart of the Whispering Woods. Story 3. In a quiet, forgotten corner of the old Dunhaven antique shop, hidden behind dusty shelves and forgotten relics, stood a tarnished, ornate mirror. It was unlike any other item in the shop, its gilded frame adorned with twisted, nightmarish figures. The mirror had a sinister reputation, whispered about for generations as the cursed mirror. The legends surrounding the mirror told of a cursed family, the Vandermoors, who had once possessed great wealth and power. Generations ago, they had made a sinister pact with an otherworldly force, sacrificing the souls of their own bloodline in exchange for prosperity. But as the years passed, their wealth turned to ashes, their power crumbled, and their souls were bound to the malevolent mirror. One gloomy evening, Emily, a young woman with a fascination for the occult, wandered into the Dunhaven antique shop. She had heard tales of the cursed mirror and was drawn to it like a moth to a flame. The shop's owner, Mr. Abernathy, an elderly man with a hunched back and a crooked smile, eyed her with caution, but did not dissuade her from approaching the mirror. As Emily gazed into the mirror, she saw her reflection, but there was something else, an unsettling figure standing just behind her in the reflection. She blinked in disbelief, and the figure vanished. Mr. Abernathy, watching from a distance, muttered a warning about the mirror's dark history, but Emily was undeterred. She purchased the mirror and had it delivered to her small, dimly lit apartment. That night, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the mirror held a terrible secret. She decided to research the Vandermoor family and their cursed legacy. Hours turned into sleepless nights, as she combed through dusty books and online archives, uncovering the family's dark history. Emily soon realized that the Vandermoor bloodline had been extinguished centuries ago. The last living Vandermoor had disappeared under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind only the cursed mirror as a grim reminder of their fate. As the days passed, Emily's obsession with the mirror grew. She found herself spending hours gazing into its depths, searching for answers. Each time she looked, she saw fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures lurking just beyond her reflection, their eyes filled with malice. One evening, as Emily studied the mirror, a voice whispered from its depths. It was a soft, haunting melody that seemed to emanate from another world. The voice beckoned her closer, its words indecipherable but filled with an undeniable allure. Intrigued and entranced, Emily leaned closer to the mirror, her breath fogging the glass. As she reached out to touch it, her hand passed through the surface as if it were liquid. She felt a chilling sensation, like icy fingers caressing her skin, and the world around her blurred and shifted. Emily found herself standing in a grand opulent mansion, the Vandermoor estate as it had once been. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the walls were adorned with portraits of long-dead Vandermoors. She realized she had been transported back in time to the height of the family's power. But the mansion was not as it seemed. It was a twisted, nightmarish version of reality. The walls oozed with dark, pulsating veins, and the portraits came to life, their eyes following her every move. Emily's reflection in the mirror grinned back at her, its eyes filled with malevolence. Desperate to escape, Emily ran through the mansion, but it was an endless labyrinth of horrors. The walls closed in around her, and the voice from the mirror whispered promises of power and wealth, if only she would surrender her soul. Emily refused to succumb to the mirror's dark temptations. With every ounce of strength, she tore herself away from the haunted mansion and back into her apartment. Gasping for breath, she realized that time had passed differently in the mirror's world, and days had turned into mere minutes in her own. Terrified and determined to break the curse, Emily sought the help of a local paranormal expert, Dr. Nathaniel Blackwood. Dr. Blackwood had encountered malevolent forces before and knew the dangers of dabbling with the supernatural. Together, they conducted a seance, hoping to communicate with the trapped spirits within the mirror. The room grew icy cold, and the mirror's surface rippled like dark water. The spirits of the cursed Vandermoors materialized, their faces twisted with torment. The spirits revealed the true nature of the curse. Their souls were bound to the mirror, and only by breaking the mirror's enchantment could they find peace. Emily and Dr. Blackwood vowed to do whatever it took to free the spirits and end the curse. Their quest led them on a perilous journey through ancient rituals and forbidden incantations. They faced nightmarish apparitions, battled dark forces, and delved into the depths of the supernatural realm. The mirror fought back, unleashing its malevolent power, but Emily and Dr. Blackwood's determination remained unshaken. In a climactic showdown, they chanted the incantation that would sever the mirror's connection to the cursed souls. The mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, and the spirits of the Vandermoors were released, their anguished cries fading into the ether. With the curse finally broken, Emily and Dr. Blackwood watched as the remnants of the mirror dissolved into dust. The room grew warm once more, and a sense of peace settled over them. But as Emily looked at her reflection in the shattered remnants of the mirror, she couldn't help but wonder if a fragment of the mirror's malevolence still lingered within her own soul. A chilling reminder of the horrors she had faced in her quest to break the curse of the cursed mirror.